Hey, welcome to the show. I'm sure there's somebody out there. One or two people. There we go. We're on YouTube.
And you're live on YouTube.
Now we're just
Check.
waiting.
Is my mic on or off? I can't tell.
I think yours is on.
It's the audio microphone, right?
Yeah. There you go. Now we're on Facebook. We can go live.
Oops, I forgot to say something again.
Well, hello everybody. It is Wednesday. I've got a print going right back here on my Wanhao Duplicator i3. We're just going to be talking about some stuff today. We're going to have a look at some rigid
Rigid.ink
filament that was sent to me, and I gave to Frank, and he took home, and we got a new camera shot that we're going to show you today, and then we're going to get into the meat of cleaning up 3D printed parts. So just let you guys come on in, and we'll see who's here. Hey, there's Jerry Projects and Brian Baker. Ooh, new arrangement. Yes, Brian, this is phase one. The new desk is coming in next week with all luck. It doesn't rain this weekend, and I can stain the new desk, and it'll be coming in next week. And then the week after, we're going to get the new wall and some paint over here. So it'll look a little different, and this will be lit up behind me as well. Mike Whaley, hello, sir. Good morning, Richard and Frank, says Ken Starock. Cheryl C, hello. Nice view, thank you. Distinctive Impressions, hello. So something you guys have been waiting to see me do is actually the most boring part of doing 3D modeling or 3D filling and seaming before you get to the paint. It's the prep work, and we're going to talk about that today. I think it's set to rain all week, but clear up on the weekend. Hopefully good airbrushing weather, yes. Because in this weather, it sucks to airbrush.
Holy shit. We just got like 60 thumbs up on Facebook? What?
I've cornered myself, Ken Strock says. Have we got any viewers on Facebook?
Yeah, it says 3.
Let me just go to Facebook here.
Yes, we've got Jess is online, Jerry Knapp's online, Derek Matthews is on Facebook as well.
Okay, I'm going. There I am. Because for whatever reason, I can't see the chat over on this stupid program.
Hi, Cheryl. Jess, you're going to hear me talking, but I promise you I'll try to make the keyboard chatters.
Jim McGregor, Jess Cornet Ching, Derek Matthews, Jerry Knapp, all on our Facebook page. Who else? Oh, there's Frank Awesome and Derek Matthews. I did say hi to everybody. Okay.
Yes.
So what time is it? Oh, we got about a minute. So yeah, we're going to clean up Wonder Woman because we're going to start getting ready to paint her.
Oh, Canadian Maker Project is not everybody was aware that we're going to start doing live shows on Wednesdays yet, so that'll be.
Yes. Don't know
okay.
you be live.
Thanks, Brian. I'll speak a little bit lower.
Well, here's the thing. I have been saying now for a little while we are changing things up, but let's talk about that after we run the intro.
Let's run that intro.
Hey, welcome to Coffee with Rich. This is a Wednesday edition of our live show. My name's Richard Cleveland. I'm your host. I'm here with you 3 times a week. We had to do a little bit of rejiggering this week. And on Friday, we are going to have a recorded show taking a look at 3D Figurine Me. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a file in time to print it for the recorded show today. So you get a bonus live show today. So what are we talking about? Let's get into a couple of things. Rigid Ink, a while ago, sent me a couple of samples in this bag, and I gave them to Frank to print, to use to try it out, and he brought me in his results today. And let me just go to the upper camera here, and you guys can see that the results aren't spectacular. He was telling me he had some issues with heat. They say it's a low temperature. He couldn't get it to print at a low temperature. And you can see there are some issues, like right in here. This is our new over-the-shoulder camera shot now, by the way. So he had a few issues, so it wasn't great. And then he tried to do this overhang test. It's a 3D printer test with their black filament, and had all kinds of under extrusion issues. It just didn't complete. And so that tells me one of two things: that their filament doesn't really work that well here in Canada, or maybe it's our climate, who knows. But by using their suggested recommendations for the heat, it didn't quite work. So not very satisfied with that. And this is one of Frank's cubes, same thing in the spool 3D filament. It turned out pretty good with a little bit of zitting, but that's okay. We can take care of that. So let's jump into the meat. Let's have a real look here. Are you going to do a tutorial show on Simplify 3D? Yes, I am. Absolutely, I am. I can see your questions today right here on my monitor. I can't see many comments on Facebook, but for whatever reason, they just all went away.
There's none. They're all blank. Yeah, no go on Facebook.
Okay.
It's streaming, but it's not. The comments aren't coming out.
That's weird. Okay. So our Richard Taylor, hello, sir. Canadian Maker Project. That's we always like them. I know I missed it. We distracted. Sorry, Geraldine.
Yeah, I missed your logo.
Oh, you missed my logo again?
Yeah.
Oh, what am I going to do with Frank?
It's way over here where I'm not looking at it. That's why. It's not in the
Ay, ay, ay. Okay.
I am really sorry.
Mom's watching with me on the cell, my wife says. Okay. All good on YouTube, no go on Facebook. I'm seeing it on Facebook, but I can't see the comments.
I've
But
got comments on my phone on Facebook, not on the computer.
okay, so what are we going to do today? We are going to start doing cleanup on Wonder Woman. And for whatever reason, this time around, I had a lot of stringing on Wonder Woman. And I'll just go to this camera here. I had a lot of stringing on her. You can see a little bit there in between the fingers. And this that you're seeing here, this kind of hairy arm business, this is the residue of having all that stringing. And there's a few parts like that. I finally got the arms done so she doesn't look like Venus de Milo. But I'm going to show you how to clean that up right now. First and foremost, what I want you guys to do is, if you don't have a set of these needle files, and you can get these pretty much anywhere, any hobby store, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them at Princess Auto, where I bought these ones, and Harbor Freight down in the States, you can get them there as well. So they're actually pretty inexpensive. So what I'm looking for is just a flat file. That one will do. And I'm going to take this piece right here, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start going across the piece just to kind of break down those higher bits. And you can see as I work that needle file on top of those areas, it starts to clean it up right away. It doesn't take much. You don't have to go crazy here. You just have to take your time. If you get a lot of stringing, for whatever reason, this time of year in Canada, it's not good for, especially here in Alberta, it's not good for models 3D printing with PLA. So I got a couple of really stubborn ones right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hobby knife, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the backside, and I'm going to scrape it down a little bit. And that's going to allow me to get off the bulk of it. And if I got to come this way, I'll come this way a little bit. And now you can see I've got a little bit of detail right here in the wrist. I don't know how well you guys can see that. There's a little bit in the wrist there. So I'm going to just come back with my needle file, and I'm just going to clean that out of there. So when I come back to paint it later, and this is important, if you want to get that nice look to your models, it's important that you have a good set of tools to get out those layer lines and to clean up your models. I think the goal here is to take a 3D printed model. And this, by the way, this is Wonder Woman by Sanix, or Sergio Malik's, Malik3design.com. I've had this model for a while. You guys saw it in the background on the other side of the set. And I love this model because it's beautifully done. So again, you're just taking in those needle files and you're just carving down some of that higher area.
That version of Wonder Woman needs to go to the gym.
Why?
I don't know why. Is she not fit enough for you, Jerry? It's,
I don't know. I think she's
got a few bulges in the wrong place.
She's just a little hairy.
A little
She's European after all. I'm not saying that all European women are hairy.
But they are.
I'm going to get hate mail.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I get hate mail for calling women.
Send all hate mail to frankawesome@msn.com. Complaints department.
Complaints department.
Chicken legs. Oh, because she's got chicken legs. If he likes a little more meat on the legs. Yeah, me too, Jerry.
Oh, well.
I'm with
Here,
you on that, buddy.
Jerry, let me fix that for you.
There you go.
Let me put that on there. And where's her big block? There it is there. And we'll stick that on there. Look at that. There you go. She didn't have to go to the gym.
She makes up for the legs with the fancy armor.
She has fancy armor on?
It beats them up. Yeah, well, the straps and the shin plates, you know.
Okay, so what I've got here in my hand is just a little bit of 180 sandpaper. Got this in the automotive section of Canadian Tire. This is not wet dry sandpaper, not like the other stuff we'll be using later on after we start.
Like my ex. Nice. Way to go, Don. That's what your ex looked like? Wow, man.
Then why are you still not with her?
Because that's what his ex looked like.
Okay, so let's go back to working on that sword arm. So now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go against the grain. Go back to this camera here. I'm going to go back against the grain, and the grain runs this way to the layer lines, which is the way that I was sanding or filing everything off. But now I'm just going to take my sandpaper, and I don't want to obliterate detail. I just want to start to smooth that out. And you can see it does a really good job. You don't have to go really fast here.
Cheryl has a question on YouTube.
Sure, what's the question?
So when you buy an STL from someone like Sergio Malik's, are you allowed to sell the figures when you print them out?
Not all artists allow you to do that. Sergio is one of the few that will allow you to sell a printed and painted model from his files, but you have to really read the licensing agreements when you are downloading or buying STLs. I know that Emilio Vitt, who is one of our members and is always here in the room with us, I don't believe you can sell his models after you've printed them, and I just think that is their prerogative. So it's always nice to respect the wishes of the artists, because if you start getting into a situation where you're selling models of somebody else's work and you're not crediting that person, it makes it really tough for everybody in the community. And because then artists like those guys stop creating models. I know, was it Emilio recently? Emilio recently had a whole bunch of his models stolen by somebody online, and they were taking credit for the work. And to me, that's stealing, plain and simple. And that's and I've talked about this before, and anybody who knows me knows that I do not condone taking somebody else's model and calling it your own when it is not. If you have an agreement with the creator of that model, then all the power to you, because then, you know, you can do whatever you want with it, I suppose, depending on what agreement you have. But I would say check the license agreement, and if you're unsure, email the artist and find out. Now, like I said, Malix does allow you to sell your painted and printed models. And just to be good to the artists, if you're going to do that, first of all, give them credit. And secondly, give them a little bit of a kickback. I know you've already paid for the model, and some people may view that, well, I've already put out the money, so why should I have to give the artist a kickback? It's not a matter of have to. It's a matter of showing a little bit of decorum, I guess is the best way to put it. It keeps the modeler modeling, it keeps the printers printing, and it keeps, at the end of the day, it keeps all you guys safe. So somebody doesn't come along and say, hey, you're selling my models on your Etsy store or on your website or on eBay, and they clearly don't belong to you, so here's a cease and desist. Now that has happened, and if you go back, the Printing Nerd talked about it once, where actually a couple of times, Joel Telling talked about it, where there was a number of models being taken by a company. I don't want to give these scumbags any real press time, but they ended up suing Stratasys as well, because they said that, okay, the files were up on a free shareable website like Thingiverse, which is owned by Stratasys, and if you guys aren't aware, Stratasys also owns MakerBot. So they decided that they were going to sue Stratasys, which is the parent company, and they won against Stratasys for defamation. And I don't understand how that was able to happen, but apparently they won, and Stratasys had to pay them out some money, and then they tried to take a bunch of other people to court. There was a letter sent to Joel as well, because he covered the story on his 3D Printing Nerd channel. And I'm one of these guys who says, look, these guys were stealing other people's models and profiting from them. And that's not right. Plain and simple, it's not right. So at the end of the day, check with the person who designed the model. If it's okay to sell the printed and painted versions, then you're okay. So I know I kind of went on and on about that. I kind of rambled, but
it's a bit of a hot topic.
It is still a bit of a hot topic.
Cheryl says, but what's the point of spending all that time creating the file and then selling it?
What's the point of creating all that time, taking all that time and selling it?
It's a work of love, and it's art.
It's art. Very much art. It's exactly what it is. I view this model that I'm doing right now as a piece of art. And it's, to me, a 3D print is like clay. This is the rough 3D print. What I choose to do with this now is either going to make it a beautiful printed model that you won't even be able to tell was 3D printed, or it can just remain like this for the rest of the days. And to be honest with you, that's not my style. I like to paint things up, and because I have a model building background and a background making props and things like that, this to me is just another piece of art that I'm just going to enhance and make it my own. Yes, I'm going to make it look like Gal Gadot as best I can, but and I will get rid of all the layer lines, so there won't be any layer lines in the finished model when I'm done painting it. And you guys are all going to come along for that ride. You're going to get to see exactly how I paint these things from start to finish. So once I've got her all cleaned up, actually one of my best friends is here. Both of you guys come on in. We're on air right now, so come on in. You bet. So come on in, say hi, come on around this way. Let me move my big butt.
Hello.
This is my good friend Attila, not the Hun.
Almost, but
Almost. And Attila is a 3D printing enthusiast as well as I am. We both belong to the same 3D printing group. I don't know if people can hear you, but that's okay. Just speak into my neck.
Yeah, I
Speak
will.
into my face.
And today we're working on Wonder Woman.
Oh,
So I'm just taking them through how to clean up all that nasty stuff on your 3D print
yeah.
before you go to your first round of paint. What are you working on these days?
These days I'm getting into maybe building some 3D printers.
Oh, you're going to build some 3D printers. So look for 3D printers from Attila. When he's got a new one done, maybe we'll bring it in and have a look at it. What do you guys think?
Let me know if you need someone to test them out for you. I might know somebody.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So just, have you ever used these guys? Rigid Ink?
No, but I've been to their website quite a bit. Yeah,
Well-
they're definitely helpful.
There's their quality. Ooh.
That's not, and that's in vase mode.
Frank printed. Did you print that in vase mode?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
It's not very encouraging.
No, I thought, and I had to print it really slow, and they said it was at 180, so I tried not to deviate from that too much.
That don't look
So it
very
was printed
good
at
either.
180, and it was printed at 30 mils per second, so it was going really slow, and it still would not adhere to itself. And it only started adhering to itself when I got it up to about 210.
What is this? It's PLA?
That's PLA.
PLA,
That's
yeah.
Specific rigid ink PLA, and they've got instructions here that you can start. It flashes at 180. It actually flashes at about 170.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So there you go. That's that stuff. Yeah.
That's,
With a bigger roll, you might be able to.
Knock your settings to a point where you can get it to print. They just gave us some little pieces, so it wasn't enough to really hash out the best way to print it.
There you
Just
go.
not printing like they said it was going
yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I never print that low temperature.
So we got a meeting coming up at the end of the month, I hear.
Yeah, usually we have on Thursdays, right? And
And I
last
haven't-
Thursday of the month.
I haven't been to them in a
Jerry
long
says,
time.
"Hi, other guy. Hi, Attila. Other
Jerry.
guy." Everybody's still watching.
I'm
by the way.
apparently doing a talk there this time around again
Again?
on
Okay.
why not to upgrade your 3D printer right out of the box. You guys have heard me talk about that,
Okay, we'll have an argument there.
so we'll have an argument there. Yep.
Excuse the big red hand coming in from under frame.
That's not the first time that's happened. So let's have a look at some questions here. He says, as long as you don't stream 15 hours getting your printer working like a country 3D, you should be okay. I'm not sure what a country 3D is.
Don't know.
That's a new one. Might have to explain that. Now you guys can hear the printer going behind me.
Everything's breaking.
And the
down.
only reason I bought this printer originally, or got this printer, was because of Attila.
Okay.
And are you happy with it?
I love it. Absolutely love it. Look at the quality on Batgirl.
And he's got that printer going constantly. It
So we
really
got
is.
Batgirl, and she's smooth. You can touch her boob, I just did. And that's the kind of show we have here. You know, you never know who's going to drop by.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to have you guys here again, and we're going to talk about the club a little bit here in Calgary and how people can start their own clubs in their own cities. Right? You guys want to hear about that. And here comes the dog.
Gotta go do some shopping.
Okay.
See you in 6 minutes.
See that? Sorry.
See you later. Nice to meet you.
Oh, you taking it?
See you later.
Take care.
So there you guys have it. Channel Richard. Oh, he wants us to. It's a channel. That's what they're talking about. Country 3D.
Check out the channel.
Check out the
Richard
channel.
Country 3D. Really? That's how we spell Country 3D? Okay.
Well, that's kind of cool.
It's an interesting name.
Mammary Calamity. Hold her up.
She wants to see the dog. You know what, Jess? You've seen the dog. I think you can go another
That is
day.
Jess, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, dog. Jerry said. That's Willow. That is Derek's dog.
Maybe we should have the dog.
And Willow is in here all the time. Love it. So,
What?
you guys, do you have any questions about cleaning up your prints? How do you get that junk out, maybe? Let's go to this camera here. You guys can see, how do you get that junk out? Well, here, I'm going to show you. I got another set of tools to show you here. These are on Amazon. They are called wax carver set. It's a wax carving set. They're made in India. And all they are is just a whole thing of dental tools. And if you take the right dental tool out, you can take it in there. There, I moved over too far, now my head's in the shot. There we go. You can take it and just get in underneath that material and just pop it right out. See how that works? And then if you have anything left over in the hole, like we do in this one.
Looks like a dental kit from a horror film, Brian says.
It is.
It is.
You can get in there and just kind of scrape it out of there to get it nice and flat again. And once you've gotten it nice and flat, you take your handles. In this case, we have to clean up the handles, and we can manually fit the handles in. Where's the other one? There it is.
Cheryl from Distinctive Impressions asks, has there ever been, oh shoot, where are we here? Sorry.
Has there ever been?
Well, that's suddenly my chat went away.
Been a fix on the Creality?
Has there ever been a fix on the Creality CR10S for resuming a job at the proper spot after a power failure?
I have not seen anything. Brian Baker wants the link to these. Brian, contact me later and I will put the link up. I don't have the link readily available.
For the tools, you mean?
For these tools, yeah. They're on Amazon, and if you just go into Amazon on the computer, actually I can do it right here. Let me see if I can get you a link to them.
I'll do it. I got it. If you want to keep going.
All I have to do is go into my orders.
Well, fine then.
And I can tell you exactly what they are. Here we go.
Oh, Rich.
And we're going to copy that link, and I'm going to paste it right down over here.
Will I see it here? Or are you pasting it?
Watch this. Boom. Ta-da!
Go, Frank, go. Sorry, Cheryl. I'm kind of off the ball today.
Yeah, and I even reminded them to do my lower third, too.
It's
So let's get back to cleaning up this arm. We've got a little bit of stringing right here, as you guys can see. And we're just going to get in there with that file, and we're just going to clean it up. Get all those little zitties off her arm, because I don't know about you, but Gal Gadot has pretty smooth, milky arms. Okay, that just came out really creepy, didn't it?
a little, but that's okay. We're having an odd day today, so...
We are having an odd day.
Yeah, all bets are off, man. Yeah, they'll have those tools, guys, in Amazon, eBay, even probably GearBest probably has those tools.
They probably do. They come from India,
They're
so...
pretty standardized, so whatever you get will be the same stuff. Yeah, I'm not much of an assistant. I'm just here, Cheryl, for comedy sidekickishness.
Sidekickishness?
Sidekick. See, you're laughing, aren't you? So, right, I'm, you know. Jerry's project says, I had one person think they had to always use filler primer on models and not regular primer. I told them if the model print's really nice without imperfection, you don't want to hide detail with filler primer. I couldn't agree more.
I agree with that. But there is times when filler primer is necessary. Now I'm just going to roughly fit these together, and you can see we've got a bit of a gap here. So that tells me one of two things. I've either got too much material still left in the pocket, or this brick is a little too big. And it looks like I've still got a little bit of material in the pocket. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and scrape that out a little bit more. And if this doesn't work for you, you can always get in there with a little bit of a Dremel, but be very careful when you're doing that. I need something with a little bit of an edge on it. So going back into my tool set here, I'm going to find something that has a little bit of an edge like that one right there. And I'm going to pull this one out. You see how it's got more of a pointed edge on it, more of a knife edge? It allows me to get right into those corners and scrape that plastic out that might be causing my issues.
The feed went offline twice. I blame Frank. Sidekicks usually cause issues.
It went off. Where did it go off of?
It's been for some folks. The YouTube feed is buffering so much that it's cutting out.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's just got a lot of lag today. It's
Gotcha.
overcast over here. I'm not surprised.
I can't remember a time where Robin needed to save Batman. Just saying.
Just saying. Yeah, see? Brian's got it. Thanks, Brian. I'm not sure if that was meant to be a compliment, but I'm going to take that as a good thing. So thanks, Brian. Appreciate it, buddy.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of material here as well, left over from the print that I'm just going to kind of take out of there. And these dental tools are really good for getting into tight little places and being able to pull out some of that material.
Those look amazing. I want to get some of those now. Everybody go get dental tools. I'll see you tomorrow.
And now we're going to try and fit that together again. So that's still got quite a gap in it. So how I can fix that gap is just by doing this. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub
Yeah, there you go.
on the sandpaper and just sand that down a little bit. And let's see where we're at here. Try putting it in the right hole, mister. So that's still got a bit of a gap, so we're just going to take off a little bit more. And this is how you can ensure really good fit on your models. And by going in a circular motion like I'm doing here now, it's going to evenly wear that little nub down. And we're just going to keep testing it. That's way better, but I think I can get even better now. And let's try that one more time. Now that's a much better fit. So when I go to fill that later, I don't have so much, and I could even probably bring that down even more yet. Another thing that I like to do as well is, you see the end of the print? Sometimes, just to get some of those excess burrs off, I'll just run it on a little bit of sandpaper.
What grit?
I'm using 180 here. This is what I always use in my of course now this won't come out. I always use 180.
Needle nose pliers.
Yeah, well I don't have any on the desk, but thank you
Sorry.
for
Is there some that I can grab for you?
no, I don't even know where mine disappeared to.
Fantastic then.
So I'll just take a little needle file here and show you guys what I'm doing. And all I did was just, and that looks way better all the way around. So still got a bit of a gap there, but again, with a little bit of milli-putt, we can take care of that in no time at all. I don't want to sand so much that I go through those top layers. Now on this particular model, because I know people are going to ask me, what were your settings? And to get to the settings part of it, I'm going to tell you that she was printed at 200% scale. She was printed at 0.1 millimeters. She had 7 top layers, 6 bottom layers. She had 10% infill, and she also had 3 perimeters, or 3 shells. I hope that makes sense. Yes, this is 180 grit. That's what this is.
Cheryl thinks you're pretty handy with tools, just saying.
Which Cheryl?
Cheryl C.
Oh, Cheryl C?
Yeah.
You knew I was a handy person, Cheryl.
Well, her words were, "Who would have thought?" So I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it.
So now I'm just going to rough her up.
Rough her
Man,
up.
there's a whole lot of jokes I could have just said
Yeah,
about that.
I'm trying not to say anything. It's really hard, so can you stop that?
Yeah, I'll stop that.
It keeps setting me up and I can't say anything.
So all I'm doing is I'm just taking the 180 now, and I'm just going over the model and just knocking down some of those layer lines that might still be left over from printing on the CR10. And I'll show you guys this in just a second. Now I can visibly see the layer lines. You guys may not be able to on that camera. I don't know how well they're coming in.
It's pretty clean from here, yeah.
But there are, there's still a few layer lines. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand down a little bit. I'm not trying to go through the plastic here. All I'm trying to do is just smooth it out a little bit before I take it to primer. And once you've got everything smoothed, or not, and you don't have to get it perfectly smooth. You're never going to get it perfectly smooth. Just give it just a quick little sanding. What are you giggling about over there?
We're teasing you about your tools. She says, who would have thought you would turn out to be such a handy person with tools, Richard? And then Cheryl says, no, you were a comic and computer nerd.
I still am a comic and computer nerd. I still am a comic book and computer nerd.
I'm being entertained by the Cheryls.
That's what I get for letting my old friends into the show.
Yeah, you let them. I don't think you could have stopped.
I don't think I could have stopped them either. All right, so there we go. Now I've got this one pretty much where I want it. This piece here, I haven't sanded everything perfectly smooth, but you know, I pretty much got it where I want it. And now I can put these two parts together. Oop, probably put them together the right way. And that looks way better. You can tell what's been sanded and what hasn't.
Good one, Brian. That's awesome, man. Brian says you're the current day red green, except that PLA is your duct tape. That's fantastic, actually.
And now I'm throwing her arms around.
You need to come to your right a little bit, please.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to just switch cameras.
Oh, sweet.
So now that we've got her arm on,
Hi, Greg.
we've got her lasso of truth, which will go right in there on her belt. We got the other arm, which we're going to continue working on off camera. But you guys get the idea here, I hope. I hope I'm not... there we go. Put that arm on. Now, there we go.
I really like that. PLA is the new duct tape.
Yeah, PLA is the new duct tape. There you go. So, this, the sanding dust from this, and I know somebody's going to probably ask, the sanding dust from this is not harmful. If you want to, go ahead, wear a mask when you're sanding. Once you put the primer, filler primer on, then I would certainly go back and make sure that I'm wearing a mask or be in a well-ventilated area before going any further. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do with her at the moment. You guys pretty much got to see, you know, everything that goes into cleaning them up. So get yourself some 180 grit sandpaper. You can get that at any automotive store. If you can afford it, these weren't that expensive. I think they were only like, let me just check how much they were. Oh, these were 16 bucks for this whole pack. So really reasonable. And now I just about jab myself in the finger. And then you just pop them back in when you're not using them, which my wife will say, about time you started putting your toys away. And then roll them up. And they're in a nice little plastic package. Away you go. Make sure you have some clippers available to you. I know I didn't use them here because I didn't really have to. I took off all the support material prior to that. Get a good hobby knife with a sharp blade.
Nail files are good too.
Nail files are excellent. Emery boards. Steal them from your wife's kit that she does all her nail polish with.
By the way, makeup brushes are also really good for dry brushing.
Absolutely they are. We're going to talk more about paint brushes and how we're going to finish her later on this season. She's got to be done before I go to Penticton next month, so you're going to see a lot of her in the next little while. So with that said, let's thank Frank first for messing up today.
I'm sorry, everybody. Really, it's way over there. That's the problem.
And then we are also going to thank Jess, who was here with us on Monday.
Thank you, Jess.
And on Friday, we've got a recorded show, just so you guys know. Want to thank spool3d.ca. Spool3D, print it right. Print it with spool3d.ca. They've got everything you need from printers, filaments, and accessories. You guys hear me say that every show, but it is important that we thank them. Now, again, thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. I still have to update the list. I haven't done that yet. Once I do that, then everybody's names will be updated. We're going to try it scrolling along the bottom as we move forward as well, as we change things up. If you'd like to become a Patreon and support the show, by all means, go to patreon.com/thefirstlayer. I'm starting to put up some videos there that are just for the Patreons. And you guys are going to see more as we move forward. What else? Oh, buy me a coffee. Hey, you know I love coffee. If you like the content on today's show and you want to learn more about finishing and painting your 3D prints so they don't look 3D printed, then go ahead and buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefirstlayer. Every little bit helps to go and changing up the set. As you can see, we've started. We're in phase 1. So I'm on the opposite side of the room now. Frank is still in the spot where he's supposed to be, but we are moving him over in front of me so he'll be able to see what's going on.
I don't like change.
Oh well. And with that said, I want you guys to always remember that the first layer is your foundation to a great print. Until next time, my friends, have yourselves a great weekend.
To automatically do things.
Well, it should be.
It's not. I'd like the lower third to be right here.
I put all the lower thirds on the bottom because all the animations are on the top.
I see. Okay, I don't know. Or maybe it's just the clutter. I'm just like, for some reason, it's not happening automatically for me. Or like, I've never ever screwed that up before, and then suddenly I've done it twice now. So there's something weird going on there. Sounds like a Frank problem. I'll have to figure this out. I think this needs to be cleared off too. I even do that at home. I probably clean my desk twice a day because I find it hard to think with clutter. That's not much of an excuse, but there it is.
That's my story. And I'm sticking
sounds
to
stupid when I say it out loud.
Sounds stupid when I say it out loud.
In my mind, it sounds perfectly fine. Oh, we can still hear you. We're still live? Oh. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.